Hey guys, it is Ryan. I'm not sure if you know this about me, but I'm a bit of a fun fanatic when I can. I like to work, but I like fun too. It's a thing. And now the truth is out there. I can tell you about my favorite place to have fun. Chumba Casino. They have hundreds of social casino style games to choose from with new games released each week. You can play for free anytime, anywhere. And each day brings a new chance to collect daily bonuses. So join me in the fun. Sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.
Welcome to the Eric Erickson Show podcast, Hour 3.
Hello, America. Welcome. It's Eric Erickson, and I am happy to have you with me. The phone number, if you want to be on the show today, 877-973-7425. If you text Eric to 33777, you can get the show notes, the podcast, the live stream, social media links, everything you need to keep up with the show. And in fact, if you text Eric, E-R-I-C-K, to 33777, when my new book is available for pre-order, you will be able to get the link. I'll text you the link so you can order the book. The more of you who order the book, the more likely it is to be a big bestseller and make my publisher happy. The downside is that if it sells well, they're going to make me write another book. I keep swearing I'll never write another book, and then I write another book. Now, I actually, relevance to today and this stuff, I want to talk to you a little bit about, indirectly, the topic of the book. I've coined a lot of phrases over the years that have been picked up by other people. One of them, a very famous phrase of a book I wrote, "You will be made to care." If you go on Amazon or Barnes & Noble and you put in "You will be made to care," you'll find my book. It was way ahead of its time. It was about the rise of Christian persecution in the United States. And one of the phrases I have coined since then is "Woko Haram," which is my cloying phrase based on the terror group, the Islamic terrorist group, Boko Haram. Woko Haram are the wokes in America. And it's kind of tied to my upcoming book, "You Will Be as Gods, The Rise of Woke Gnosticism." Now, I feel like today is Philosophy Day on the show because I want to dive into this because I'm just watching the stuff that's going on. And one of the things that I talk about in the book and I talk about with you guys, and honestly, the book is basically a lot of my monologues put together in my book, is Woko Haram eventually burns itself out because you can never be woke enough. There's no true communist. It's like, so all the time the left flirts with communism and Marxism. They're like, well, we've never tried it. It's never been done the way it's supposed to be done. It's someone like the Soviets, they really didn't do communism the right way. The Chinese, they really haven't done communism the right way. They're all big fans of it until it fails, and then you haven't done it the right way. One of the ways Xi Jinping has done it in China is this Belt and Road Initiative, where he's essentially put together a bunch of deals in a bunch of countries around the world, helping other countries build up their infrastructure, knowing they couldn't pay loans back, and China could get their land. The Philippines have walked away from the Belt and Road Initiative and are returning to the American side of the aisle because China covets the South China Sea fishing rights of the Philippines. The communists in Vietnam want to be friends with the United States of America because they're getting scared of the Chinese ambition. When I was a kid, I lived in the UAE, and we were right next to Oman. Oman has always been friendly with the West, and now China wants to build a military installation in Oman. And the Omanis may not be able to stop them because they got indebted to the Chinese, and the Chinese will forgive the debt in exchange for letting them build a military base, and Joe Biden's doing nothing to stop it. And all of this stuff plays out with the wokes. You can't be woke enough in this country. Eventually, they tear themselves apart. But look at what's going on right now. I mentioned to you the Jewish man in Los Angeles who was killed by the Palestinian protester, and the media can't bring themselves to acknowledge he was murdered by a Palestinian protester. It just seems in some way to be an accidental death. He just fell to the ground. Not that he was shoved forcefully so that his head impacted the ground and cracked his skull and he died. Because they can't bring themselves to acknowledge the truth. Or there's this video. This video is online. I retweeted it on Twitter. If you're on Twitter, I refuse to call it X, on Twitter, of a young black guy who stole a backhoe, crashed through the wall of a gas station, used the backhoe to scoop up the ATM machine, tied a rope around the ATM machine, and drove on with it. Brazen crime. The police are nowhere to be seen. And you've got a lot of people on the left who look at stuff like that and say, well, it wasn't really a crime. There's insurance for that. But then these young black men turn on them. Like, for example, there was the activist in Brooklyn. This is horrible, and this is not something to laugh about, but it is something to be aware of. And I was like, oh, guys, you don't laugh at that sort of stuff. It's not good. It's not good for your soul to laugh at this. And I understand the irony of it, though. But there was a young white progressive activist in Brooklyn who campaigned on getting young black men out of prison, who argued that many of the people on the streets are victims. They're not criminals, and they needed to be we need to take care of them. Well, one of those insane homeless people attacked the guy, stabbed him in his stomach, and killed him. And according to this young man who died, his worldview is that, it was white society and systemic racism that caused it, not really the homeless guy. The left is very good at abdicating individuals of their responsibility and applying it to the collective. It's one of the chief ideas within Haram is that individuals are not responsible for their own actions. It's collectivism. It is, you are part of a group. So you white individual who kills someone, well, that's just your white oppression lashing out at people. You young black man who kills someone, well, that is you lashing out at your oppressor in a systemically racist society. It's all a bunch of crazy nonsense, but it's what so many people on the left believe. And the problem is you can never be woke enough. I mean, just think of the alphabet gang. For the longest time, it was the LGB community. Lesbian, gays, and bisexuals. And it took a little while for the B to be added. It was lesbians and gays. And then instead of saying lesbian, gays, and bisexuals, they started saying LGB. Well, now we got the transgender community, which is deeply incompatible with the lesbians, the gays, and the bisexuals, but they've insisted that they latch on to it, so it's the LGBT community. But wait a second, there are people who aren't sure. Are they an L, a G, a B, a T, a something else? So we got to add the Qs, the LGBTQ community. And then suddenly, wait a second, what about the Two-Spirit people, which is a white cultural appropriation of Native American mythology, but it's the LGBTQ2S community. Wait a second, what about the intersex people? Well, now we've got to be LGBTQ, IATP2. I mean, it just goes on and on and on. It is, and some people actually unironically do this, and lately it's become LGBTQIA2+. It just keeps going on and on and on, and they treat it. If you want to know what the full abbreviation is, it's LGBTTTQQIAA. But they've condensed it to LGBTQIA2+. Now, what do all of these things mean? Well, the further down it goes, the crazier it gets. You got lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, questioning, intersex, asexual, two-spirit. There's a P in there as well for pansexuals, and it's you just have to keep adding letters. And nobody can keep up with it. And everybody's afraid of offending everybody else. Unless you're the oppressor class, then they're all okay with offending you. But at some point, these oppressed people realize they're the oppressor class, and then they cancel themselves. It's a weird mental illness, and that's the bottom line here. Progressivism is increasingly on display today as a mental illness. Now, there's a political aspect to this that we can't ignore. Do you know who's not down with all this stuff? the black community and the white community and the Hispanic community outside of academic fringes. By the way, a friend of mine says actually the full list of it is LGBTQIP2SAA. That is what has been adopted in Canada thus far, LGBTQIP2SAA. Lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, questioning, intersex, pansexual, two-spirit, androgynous, and asexual. LGBTQIP2SAA. That's what Justin Trudeau's government has adopted in Canada. Lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, questioning, intersex, pansexual, two-spirit, androgynous, and asexual. And it is a mental illness. This stringing of letters together of the alphabet gang and to be embraced by society, and it's all, they cancel each other out. And yet we're supposed to like treat this stuff as normal and sane, and it's not. So there's I can't really play you the video because it gets a little too explicit, but it's a dude who is, my kid is listening to me. My kid is listening to me, and she just texted me, LGBTQ stupid, LGBTQ STUPID. That's it. Yes. Thank you, Evelyn. That's it. But they're canceling each other out. And so now the bizarreness of it is there's an African-American male track star who ran as a woman in a race this weekend, and he literally says, just because I have testicles does not mean I'm not a woman. Actually, yes, it does. But you humor crazy people for so long, they think they're not crazy, and the whole world comes unglued and is absolutely insane. And we're seeing this with crime waves where young black men aren't being prosecuted for vicious crimes in urban areas because the white prosecutors, who are all progressives, say, well, it's not really them, it's the white oppression that caused them to do it. We have to let them out of prison, and crime goes up. And eventually, it all boils down to one easy thing for you to grasp. We're all responsible for our actions. When a majority of voters vote for the insanity and the insanity comes out, it's the voters who are to blame. People are stupid, and stupid people vote. And stupid people vote for insanity. And this insanity is just taken over. It burns itself out. Eventually, they all turn on each other. You're never too woke. So, one of the things that Peter Jackson got really, really good with his Lord of the Rings movies and the Hobbit movies, if you watch the Lord of the Rings movies by Peter Jackson, what you notice is that the bad guys, the orcs and whatever, the trolls and the orcs and the goblins and all, they are as nasty to each other as they are to the good people. And the moment there are no good people to eat and kill, they turn on each other and kill and eat each other. That's what Woko Haram does. That's what the wokes do. They turn on each other. You're never woke enough, and so they turn on each other. They wipe each other out eventually. The problem is how many people are burned up in the madness of the process. How many people lose their jobs? How many people are canceled? But one of the side aspects of this Israeli conflict right now is how many of the rules are out the door. Suddenly, people are getting canceled for their bizarre views, and suddenly the left is like, wait, I thought you guys on the right were opposed to cancel culture. Well, we were, but you won. So now we're giving you a dose of your own medicine. Insanity always burns itself out when it sweeps through society. The question is how many young kids are going to get sterilized in the process who are convinced that they're transgender. I mean, at the end of the day, it's a death cult. It's pagan. That's kind of what my book is about, You Will Be As Gods. It's what we're seeing in society with the insanity of the wokes. It's actually not something new. It's something very, very old. Before Christianity dominated the Western world, this is what was in the Western world. It was in a different form, but it was the same thing. It was this Gnosticism, that there was the secret knowledge and secret path, and you had to have secret access to it, and it could reveal to you the whole world. That's what intersectionality is. That's what the wokeism is, that it opens your eyes to the way the world really works. In the process, it burns through the world and takes a bunch of people with it, but eventually clears itself out. The problem is just how many businesses, corporations, and individuals are going to be put out of business and out of their workforce and out of the town square before wokeism burns itself out. A lot of people. Bud Light's just one of many of those to fall out because of Boko Haram. Boko Haram will eventually turn on itself, and it will be glorious when it happens, but we're not there yet. Guys, if you're a small, mid-sized business, you're struggling with HR issues, you have employees not showing up, or you got to do a termination, you need onboarding of employees, maybe there's a sexual harassment complaint. You want an HR manager. You don't want to be the bad guy with your employees. Bambee can play the role of HR for you. $99 a month, available by phone, email, real-time chat. They do onboardings, terminations. They help your team members get to peak performance, and your business stays compliant with changing HR regulations, regardless of which state. They're great. Now, they're U.S.-based. You got somebody to talk to who's dedicated to your team. They give you access to HR expertise, and they add personal touches. So even though they're outsourced by your company, they really feel like they're a part of your team. That matters. Go to Bambee.com right now. Type in Eric Erickson under podcast. When you sign up, it'll help my show. Bambee.com, 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 Eric Erickson in the podcast tab.
Hey guys, it is Ryan. I'm not sure if you know this about me, but I'm a bit of a fun fanatic when I can. I like to work, but I like fun too. It's a thing. And now the truth is out there. I can tell you about my favorite place to have fun. Chumba Casino. They have hundreds of social casino style games to choose from with new games released each week. You can play for free anytime, anywhere. And each day brings a new chance to collect daily bonuses. So join me in the fun. Sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18 plus.
Welcome back. It's Eric Erickson here. The phone number, 877-973-7425. So I got sent this video by a couple of different people. I think Charlie sent it to me as well. A group of American cowboys are going to Israel. That's right. From Montana, Arkansas, and elsewhere, a group of American cowboys have headed to Israel to serve and lend a hand during this time. Their names make them sound very Mennonite. Hezekiah, Elijah, Asher, things. I mean, it's clearly some Christian community has organized this. I am always perplexed as to how this stuff gets organized and happens. But they are young men, look like in their 20s, headed to Israel. Here's why. In southern Israel, a lot of those kibbutzes where the 1,400 people were killed, they were farmers. And so the farms are now fallow because the farmers who farmed the land have been murdered by Hamas. And so these young men are stepping up and going over. And then while you've got a lot of Israelis who have been called up to fight, their farms are left unattended. And so these young men have volunteered to go over and run the farms and keep things going. God bless them for doing it. What an amazing, kind, gracious thing for them to do, to go over and take care of the farms. And there's video of them online. I've put it on my Twitter account, retweeted it, some of it. They're doing real manual labor on these farms, getting farms back up to speed, some of them fixing things that Hamas destroyed, just so the Israeli harvest can be met. God bless them for doing that. I don't know who organizes these things, how it gets done. It seems to be very clearly a Christian community that has put this stuff together. But from Montana to Arkansas, American cowboys and farmers headed to Israel to tend the farms and the land while the Israelis fight Hamas. Good for them. Now, so I got to tell you about the Eden Pure Thunderstorm here. You can get 3 of them for less than $200 by going to EdenPureDeals.com and putting in my name, Eric, E-R-I-C-K. What is the Eden Pure Thunderstorm? It's an air purifier. What does it do? Well, it gets rid of the dust and the pollen and the mold floating in the air with electrostatic plates, so you don't have a filter subscription. But I actually don't use it as an air purifier, and most of my friends who use them as an odor eliminator. And what it does is it wipes out bad odors. So smoke odors wipes them out. Chimney odors wipes them out. Litter box odors wipes them out. Pet odors, cooking odors, musty odors. The Eden Pure Thunderstorm wipes out bad odors. And all you have to do to get 3 of them for less than $200 is go to EdenPureDeals.com and put in my name, Eric, E-R-I-C-K, as your discount code. I travel with mine. I keep mine in my travel bag because you can plug it up with a USB cord or into the wall, and they're small. They're a little bigger than your hand. They're easy to travel with, but you get one for upstairs, downstairs, your basement, your RV, your travel bag, wipe out rental car smoke odors. Someone's been in those. EdenPureDeals.com. You put in Eric, you get 3 of them for less than $200.
With the Lucky Land Slots, you can get lucky just about anywhere.
This is your captain speaking. We've got clear runway and the weather's fine, but we're just going to circle up here a while and get lucky. No, nothing like that. It's just these cash prizes add up quick. So I suggest you sit back, keep your tray table upright, and start getting lucky.
Play for free at LuckyLandSlots.com. Are you feeling lucky? No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
Hello there. Welcome. It's Eric Erickson here across the nation. The phone number is 877-973-7425. Should you wish to be on the program, it is Election Day in America. In Ohio, there is an abortion rights constitutional amendment, and the pro-life community is worried they may lose. If you're in Ohio, listen on WHIO or online, remember to go vote against it. I don't know the outcome there, but it's very interesting where in Virginia they're trying to nuance it, if you will, for a phrase, split the baby. The Republicans in Virginia have hit on a 15-week law, and some pro-lifers are opposed. They don't think it does enough, and it's probably the reasonable compromise for a split nation. Essentially, abortion in Virginia would be allowed up to 15 weeks and thereafter banned except for rape, incest, life of the mother. And that polls with a majority support. Democrats have poured their hearts into making the Virginia election a referendum on abortion. Republicans in Virginia have done a very good job with their early vote. The early vote in Virginia, normally Democrats have a massive win in the early vote, and they've barely won the early vote there. It's like a 3%. Normally it's like 35%, if I understand right. It's like they're ahead by 3% in the early vote based on most estimates, based on like worst case scenario estimates. So it'll be interesting if Republicans pull off Virginia. Virginia is a real test case. Let me explain to you what's going to happen if Republicans win. If Republicans hold the state house in Virginia and win the state Senate, the buzz for Glenn Youngkin for president is going to go through the roof. Non-stop, we will hear incessantly about the need for Glenn Youngkin to get into the Republican race. And I don't think it's going to happen. It might. I might be wrong here. But it's a little late in the game to run for president if you're Glenn Youngkin. You got to field a ground operation in Iowa after Kim Reynolds has come out for Ron DeSantis. You will be precluded from being on the ballot in New Hampshire because New Hampshire qualifying has happened. You'd have to barnstorm the country. Now, he has the money to do it, but you also got to find a compelling message to convince Republicans to abandon Haley and DeSantis and also abandon Trump. And I don't know that he wants that headache to do it. Maybe he wants to do it, but I kind of think it might be more likely that his entry would just help Trump. Republican donors have been unsatisfied thus far. But there's also this, if Youngkin jumps in, he could consolidate Republican donors, and that would give him the money to suddenly fuel a campaign to then compete, but he'd have to get on a debate stage early or as soon as possible. There's another debate coming next month. I don't know. I don't know that it works for him. What I do know is that the Virginia Republicans have done everything right. They found a compromise that united them on abortion that's pro-life, but gives people who are pro-choice some reason for comfort. Most people who are pro-choice, outside of the radicals, are kind of comfortable with a late-term abortion ban. 15 weeks sounds good. They've done a good job, the Virginia Republicans have, on an education plan. Not only that, everything's gone right for the Virginia Republicans. So the Democrats have nominated a bunch of bat crap, crazy, insane porn stars and anti-Semites in Virginia. You've got one Virginia Democrat who is still on the campaign trail saying Israel blew up the hospital in Gaza long after it's been debunked. You've got the middle-class suburban mom who turned out to be doing online porn. You've got others who have come out as anti-Semites and communists and Marxists. I mean, the Virginia Republicans were blessed with terrible Democrats, and they've done everything right. They've outspent on TV. They've been at parity in mail. Or no, they were at parity in TV. They outspent the Democrats on mail. They've done a ground game. They've all been reasonable. They've suppressed their crazy voices. I mean, the Virginia Republicans have done textbook campaign how to win. So if they don't win, it's going to be really bad. Virginia will be definitive blue state. You've also got Joe Biden being so unpopular. He's at like 30% popularity in Virginia, and Glenn Youngkin is something like 60% popular. Glenn Youngkin is popular with Democrats in Virginia, and the Republicans have done nothing to be scary in Virginia. So the lesson here for Republicans, if Republicans win Virginia and they win the legislature tonight, the moral of the story is be reasonable, be likable, be smart, and don't be crazy. And if you have crazy voices, you suppress the crazy voices. There's an opportunity here for Republicans. Now, in Mississippi, contrast Mississippi. In Mississippi, Tate Reeves is the governor. He's a Republican governor, and he's not been popular. In fact, it is an extremely competitive race in Mississippi. Tate Reeves is being challenged by Brandon Presley, who's a Democrat who's come across as a reasonable, and it's working for the Democrats in Mississippi. They haven't been incendiary. And in some of the polls, the Democrats are winning. Now, I don't actually think that the Democrats will win in Mississippi, but it is just actually notable that the Republicans in Mississippi are a little bit scared about what might happen in Mississippi. The other one is Kentucky. I'm keeping my eye on Kentucky because Andy Beshear is the governor there. Data for Progress has the latest poll in Kentucky, and it has Beshear by 2 points, and Data for Progress is a Democrat pollster. The independent polling has suddenly closed the direction, and you've got, for example, Emerson polling has Daniel Cameron up 1 and a really impressive ground game in Virginia. And if Daniel Cameron wins in Virginia, you have a Republican, and the Republicans have a trifecta, a supermajority in the legislature and the governor, and it would be a veto-proof Republican majority, but it doesn't matter because you'd have a conservative Republican governor who's also a black. He's the attorney general there, and he's run a tough-on-crime campaign against Andy Beshear, who is a pretty progressive Democrat. So these are interesting dynamics. Now, here I can tell you what's going to happen for sure. If Republicans do well in Virginia, if Republicans take the state Senate in Virginia, they hold the House now. If they hold the House, take the Senate, they win the governorship in Kentucky, and they hold Mississippi, it will be absolutely statistically meaningless. Democrats and the media will say there's nothing to see here. It's no big deal. Don't worry about it. They will say there's nothing to interpret. It's an off-year election. It's meaningless. If, however, the Democrats do well in Virginia, despite the Virginia Republicans running a flawless campaign, if Andy Beshear holds Kentucky, Mississippi doesn't matter. This will be Republican doomsday scenario. The media will say this means everything. It means Joe Biden is safe. It means the Democrats have nothing to worry about next year. So the rule of thumb will be tomorrow, if Republicans do well, these elections are meaningless. If Democrats do well, it means everything. But I want to focus one more time real quick before I go to phone calls. I want to focus one more time on Virginia. I got a lot of friends in Virginia who are listening, and they've done everything right. They picked the right candidates. They had the right message. They had the right compromise on abortion. They had the right ground game. They had the right get out the vote campaign. They had the right early vote campaign. They had the right governor. They had the right reasonableness. They had the friendliness. They had the warmth. They had the caring. They had all that. The Democrats did everything badly. The Democrats' ground game in Virginia sucks. The Democrats' candidates suck. The Democrats' candidates come across as horrible people, and they are horrible people. and Joe Biden's deeply unpopular, that gives me courage that Virginia played it right. And if they played it right, there's a lesson there for all of us. Reasonable, likable candidates win, and that's what Republicans will need to do for 2024. Instead of just having yelling people who mean tweet and write in all caps, there's a path forward here for Republican victory in Virginia if things go well tonight. If things don't go well, the moral of the story is that you can do everything right and Virginia is just off the table and Republicans should expect to keep losing it. And I don't know that that's going to be true. We'll find out, though. Tomorrow morning when the sun rises, we'll see how it goes. Now I want to go to Frank. Frank, welcome to the Eric Erickson Show. Frank, how are you?
How you doing, sir? Appreciate your show. Appreciate you. I have a question. I recently listened to a forum, and it had different CEOs on. One of the gentlemen was from Public Square, and I know you're involved with putting people's pocketbooks in line with their values, and he promotes spending your money to represent your direction of where you'd like to go. So don't use companies that are not in line with your values, so to speak. And I was curious if you're familiar with that company or not.
Yeah, and not only am I familiar with it, a number of friends of mine are some of the original investors in the company, and I don't know how viable long-term it will be. Their stock market their stock took a dip after it was publicly traded, but I got to tell you, I like them and I believe in them. I like the idea of, for example, Every Life, which is a pro-life diaper company. Most of the diaper companies in America, the big ones, their parent companies fund Planned Parenthood. This company actually funds the pro-life movement. In fact, Every Life, which is the diaper company Public Square promotes, sent Philip, my digital operations guy, sent him a box of their diapers, and he and his wife liked the diapers. They were good diapers, and it's a pro-life company that funds the pro-life movement. It's why, like, for example, I advertise for Patriot Mobile because they're a conservative company that funds the conservative cause. But Public Square has an app, and you can go find these companies that share your values. And let's be real honest here. A lot of the major companies that are out there right now, their corporate betters, their corporate leaders are progressives. They're progressives that they're progressives that fund progressive causes. They're woke. They push values that are offensive. And so Public Square is trying to align people to companies that share their values, and there's nothing wrong with that. I wish we didn't have to worry about that these days. But like, let me just take, I don't know. I mean, you got some of the woke razor companies out there now that are pushing extremely like progressive values, putting trans models in for razor blade companies and stuff like that. And I like, it's not stuff I want to promote. I listen, I understand like progressives buy razor blades too, and there's nothing wrong with that. But what I find is the companies that want to promote to the left but not to the right. Look at Target, for example. What has Target ever done to promote Target's products to conservative households, to Christians? Target goes out and they put in tuck-friendly gear for the trans community, and they partner with a pro-Satanist company for Pride gear, and the Pride is in your face all the time. What have they done for Christian conservatives? What do they do for the homeschool community? What do they do for moms and dads? Nothing. It's offensive. It's in your face, and now the Target CEO is out there lying to people that what they did, they didn't do. Or look at Anheuser-Busch suddenly deciding to drop millions of dollars to be the corporate sponsor for MMA to get back in the good graces of conservatives after insulting their values with the Dylan Mulvaney or whoever stuff. They were offensive in your face, and their marketing director said they didn't like you as a customer. They fired that person, thankfully. But now they think they can drop a bunch of money and get back in our good graces. I mean, I didn't like Bud Light to begin with, but I mean, I'm not going to waste my time with them now. There's no reason to do that. So Public Square is trying to have that conversation, and God bless them for doing it. I've traded emails with the CEO. I know him through friends, and I know some of their top investors. Donald Trump Jr., I think, was one of their big investors as well. And good luck to them. I wish them the best. I hope they succeed. Now, a company that's been around for 25 years that I do business with and have for 20 years is Stamps.com. They've been indispensable to me for what I do as a business, shipping and mailing. I used to print postage from them instead of going to the post office to buy stamps. Now I ship all my packages. I got one to ship out today, as a matter of fact, to an accountant. Stamps.com, they can help you during the holiday season. Save money, save time during the holiday rush. It's like having your own post office. All you need is a computer and printer. They send you a free scale even, so you have everything you need to get started to ship packages. You weigh them, you put in the number, you print the label, and away you go. They can even arrange pickup at your house so you don't have to stand in line. You get huge carrier discounts up to 84% off the post office and UPS rates to help your bottom line. And they automatically tell you the cheapest and the fastest shipping options. For 25 years, Stamps.com has been indispensable for over 1 million businesses, including mine. You get access to the post office and UPS services you need from your computer day or night. No lines, no traffic, no waiting. And right now, to give your business the gift of Stamps.com so your mailing and shippings cover this holiday season, you go to Stamps.com and you put in the promo code ERIC for a special offer. You get a 4-week trial, free postage, and you get that digital scale at no cost. And there's no long-term commitment and there's no contract. I've used Stamps.com for 20 years. I'm not lying. They're a good company. And if you do a lot of shipping, you can get a little thermal printer. You can print your labels with Stamps.com. They give you the scale. They give you everything you need to get started. It's so easy, and you don't have to stand in line during the holidays. Go to Stamps.com, click on the microphone, and then put in my name, Eric, E-R-I-C-K. Go to Stamps.com, click the mic, put in Eric. Start saving on your shipping today.
Okay, round 2. Name something that's not boring.
A laundry? Ooh, a book club. Computer solitaire, huh?
Ah, sorry, we were looking for Chumba Casino. That's right, ChumbaCasino.com has over 100 casino-style games. Join today and play for free for your chance to redeem some serious prizes. ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus. Terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
I want to play you some audio here. This is from Congressman Rich McCormick of Georgia.
Whereas on October 18, 2023, Representative Tlaib continued to knowingly spread the false narrative that Israel intentionally bombed the Al-Ali Arab Hospital on October 17 after United States intelligence, Israeli intelligence, and President Biden assessed with high confidence that Israel did not cause the explosion. Whereas on November 3, 2023, Representative Tlaib published on social media a video containing the phrase, quote, "from the river to the sea," end quote, which is widely recognized as a genocidal call to violence to destroy the state of Israel and its people, to replace it with a Palestinian state extending from the Jordan River to the Mediterranean Sea. Whereas Representative Tlaib doubled down on this call to violence by falsely describing the "from the river to the sea" as an aspirational call for freedom, human rights, and peaceful coexistence, despite it clearly entailing Israel's destruction and the denial of its fundamental right to exist. And whereas Representative Tlaib has repeatedly displayed conduct entirely unbecoming of a member of the House of Representatives by calling for the destruction of the state of Israel and dangerously promoting false narratives regarding a brutal, large-scale terrorist attack against civilian targets inside the sovereign territory of a major non-NATO ally, while hundreds of Israeli and American hostages remain in terrorist captivity. Now, therefore, be it resolved that Representative Rashida Tlaib be censured.
That's Rich McCormick. He has authored this censure resolution of Rashida Tlaib. It's notable. Marjorie Taylor Greene brought one up as well and added some extra claims in there about inciting insurrection and stuff that a lot of the Republicans thought was a bridge too far. And instead of toning it down to actually get a resolution that accomplished something, hers failed, and she attacked the Republicans for not going along with her, as opposed to Rich McCormick, who built consensus around a censure resolution that actually accomplishes a censure. It's not for grandstanding. He's not fundraising off of it, and he's not attacking other Republicans. He actually wants to censor Rashida Tlaib, so he found some consensus. Democrats have issued a motion to table Rich McCormick's censure resolution. That motion has failed, and the House is currently, as I'm talking, voting on his resolution to censor Rashida Tlaib. He's actually got his resolution to the floor to accomplish something, as opposed to Marjorie Taylor Greene, who wanted to be as incendiary as possible, so much so that her own Republican colleagues wouldn't go along with her. And she attacked them instead of trying to get something done. Good for Rich McCormick for trying to get something done to censor this anti-Semite who's in the House of Representatives. Good for him for working the process, building consensus, and getting it to the floor.
With the Lucky Land Slots, you can get lucky just about anywhere.
This is your captain speaking. We've got clear runway and the weather's fine, but we're just going to circle up here a while and get lucky. No, nothing like that. It's just these cash prizes add up quick. So I suggest you sit back, keep your tray table upright, and start getting lucky.
Play for free at LuckyLandSlots.com. Are you feeling lucky? No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+ terms and conditions apply. See website for details.